Hi guys, welcome back to this channel. It's Christy Tony, Calligraphy by CT. I am a lettering artist and calligrapher here in Chicago. I am getting into bullet journaling. I am new to this discipline, but I wanted to show you guys my setup for 2022. So hit that like button, and if you like the content here, please subscribe. Thanks.
All right, I have got the A5 sized Archer and Olive journal for the bullet journal, and it is wonderful. It was beautiful, beautifully packaged. I'd only used the Leuchtturm before, just playing around, and that paper weight size is 80 GSM or grams per square inch. This paper is 160 GSM, which means it is super thick, and believe me, I tested it out. It was great though. It was great. I really love this paper. Beautiful. And then they send you a template, just a cheat sheet to let you know how many boxes need to go vertically and horizontally based on what you're doing. There's a folder, a gusseted pocket in the back where you can put important things throughout the year. And then I attempted to do a cheat sheet in the back, but I won't torture you with that process. I'll show it to you later. It took me forever. And then I just pulled out my pointed pen using a little Sumi ink so that I could personalize my Archer and Olive bullet journal. I'm so proud of it. And again, this paper can take a lot, so no worries about the ink bleeding through the backside. And then speaking of pens, I bought these pens from Dee Dee's Discounts. It was only $4.99. They're called Bible markers. They are wonderful. I'm going to find these and list these in the description. Oh my God, they're the best pens. And I use tons of pens. I kid you not. So then for the first page, just opening up the journal, I am just simply writing the numbers 2022, 2022. And I'm just kind of counting out the numbers of dots just to make sure that everything is proportionate and even. But yeah, just in the middle of the paper, nothing fabulous. But again, I am trying not to torture you with so much writing, but I did pencil out, I did capture myself penciling out the 2022, and then I'll show you how I inked it. But I'm just going pretty quickly through this process. But yeah, it's always exciting to have like something new. New year, new hopes, new thoughts. I'm just very excited about this year. And it's always interesting having to do 3 number 2s because that's pressure, because they're all being judged together to look the same. So, it's just kind of playing around with these for a while. But I do believe in the boxes though. As far as the lettering goes, obviously I really care about the lettering. Probably not as much as other bullet journalers, but I do. And so just a tip for other bullet journalers, drawing the boxes out will help. Even though you've got the dot grid pattern, the boxes are always nice. And make sure you're staying consistent. I made the word hello that I wrote above the 2022 into just some simple serifs, monoline serifs actually. I didn't even add any weight. Just wanted to give them a little bit more character. And then I started inking my number, or my numbers. Again, I was a little off on the thickness, but I think these look wonderful, especially after I erase the lead. I think it's going to look really nice. It's all about minimal. The style that I selected for my bullet journal is pretty minimal, but it's giving me an opportunity to go back in and do other things with it if I want to. I'd rather start off really basic. So I think that was what was keeping me from really doing bullet journaling before, is I was like, okay, this takes too long. But as long as I keep the layouts minimal, it's not as intimidating. Okay, so now this is going to take the longest. This is the longest process of actually starting a bullet journal, and that is the year at a glance. I choose to do a year at a glance. I like to be able to look at a spread, and I like to be able to see all 12 months. And a little added layer of complexity is making the Saturday and Sunday both the initial and the dates another color. So I made them pink, and then I will go back to the black in order to make the rest of the numbers. So I went pretty quickly through this so as not to torture you, but yeah, a year at a glance. And this takes up 2 pages. I basically would put 6 months on the left and 6 months on the right, and in the middle, in the gutter, I make a place just, in case there's some things that I want to write about these months. Like I said, it's all about flexibility for me. I want to know, I don't know exactly what I'm going to write, but I know I'm going to write something. So yeah. So I'm starting to jump ahead a little bit because it is pretty tedious. Pretty tedious, but I love the way it looks when it's all done, especially those pink numbers, because I know that that's my weekend. And I'll know it right off. So now that we're done, I'm going to go to the top. I wrote out a year at a glance 2022 in pencil, and now I'm going to go over it with some black ink. And again, this can be flanked with flowers or other decor elements, but I'm just not really sure. And like I said, this is part of my process as far as bullet journaling goes. I want to have room to doodle and do things as the year goes on. So I think my thing is to just keep it simple. So then I'm just going to put a simple rule underneath these words. I'm a big splitter of rules. I use a lot of horizontal rules, but I'll split it with the type. See how I skipped over the descender in year. I do that all the time. So that's like one of my little signature things that I do. And so then, yeah, the next page, we're going to move on. These are goals and visions for 2022. I just like to have this page. I want to be able to go back to this page and really look at it and see, you know, how I'm progressing with what I said that I wanted to do. And I went ahead and wrote this out in pencil. Didn't want to torture you with that video, so I am just going to ink it in. 2022 goals and a vision. And another horizontal rule. Minimalist and clean. And then I've just got my categories. I did 3 boxes on each side. So 3 on the left and 3 on the right. And this one is health. Then I did relationships. I put a little icon underneath each one. I thought that was cute. And I think this box should give me plenty of room. So I can either bullet point what I want or just scribble it in. And go ahead and darken up the hand. Their hands holding up. And the finances. Travel. Even though with COVID, I don't know. Everybody's traveling, but I'm like, I'm not ready. And a little red cross under the health. Self-care. The tub. Definitely should have made this section the largest on here for me. Employment and business. Still toying with the idea of going back to getting a 9 to 5, so we'll take some notes, see what we can find out. But yeah, I love this. And I just hope I can stick with it. The goals. Okay. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of character to these letters. A little bit of faux calligraphy. I'm probably not even going to fill it in, but I just thought if I added a little thickness to these letters, it would make them a little less boring. Yeah, I'm all about being minimal, but I'm like, hey, it's the calligrapher in me. It's making them a little bit more fancy schmancy. And again, I might go back in and fill them in. I might not. It's just a look. It's a vibe. And then now we get to the Dutch door. This is going to be the cover sheet for January. And I am going to actually, it's called a Dutch door, but it's really just based on my print production background. I look at it as a die cut cover. So it's something that's going to be die cut. And so I started this. These are just some ethereal, atmospheric trees that I'm doing in watercolor. Just really, really loose and watery. I told you I was going to give this 160 GSM a ride. So yeah, really, really tested this paper. But anyway, just for the January cover, I just thought that, I'm in Chicago, it's snowy. How about doing some snowy pine trees? I thought that would be nice. But it is my first stab at it, so probably not, as, you know, professional if you're a watercolorist watching this. So it is my first stab. And it's for me, so I'm happy. But what I did was I did the atmospheric trees in the background, and now I'm doing the darker pines in the front. And I left a lot of space. I've made these pretty scrawny because I want to add some snow to these leaves. And it would be better if this were, if it were like a white background. But it's already kind of a challenge because I'm putting it in front of some green. So I'm going to add some paint in later with some bleed proof white and maybe a little gouache, a little white gouache. But yeah, so this just kind of makes it look a little foresty, gives it a little depth. I love the way it came out. So yeah, so now I just started putting in the scrawny pines, leaving a lot of space open. That's the gouache I was talking about. Just made it pretty thick. I didn't want to make it too watery. And then just started globbing it on like snow. It's pretty wintry. I love this like landscape look. I'm usually only bold enough to attempt flowers. I think it probably came out a little bit too symmetrical. I wanted it to be a little bit more random in terms of the branches, but that's okay. The first stab at it and on camera, I'm happy. And then I started making it snow by putting a little bit more gouache on the tip and then tapping my brush. So it really snowed here, just like it just snowed in Chicago over the weekend. We brought in the new year with a bunch of snow. So very appropriate. So yeah, I went back in here and really touched up these trees later, but this was the general way that I did it. I love it. Okay, so now I'm just erasing the rest of that circle. That circle was just meant to hold this image. It wasn't meant to stay. I'm going to leave the circle on the outside because that's where we're going to actually be trimming this out. There's some stubborn lead here. I don't know how that happened. It didn't want to come off. I had to use my sand eraser on that. That was weird. And so I am going to write January with my pointed pen in Sumi ink. I'm just going to write in January 2022. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then remove my binder clips, let all that dry, and then put a cutting mat underneath the area that's going to be trimmed out. And I'm an Exacto Blade girl. Okay, this next page probably could have been outside of the January. I read it inside of January, but it could have probably been before the cover page. But I'll just have to remember that this is the booked orders that I'm going to have. And I just like to have an at a glance list because it is super easy in the hospitality industry with so many changes and so many people reaching out to you and you're not following up properly or whatever. It's easy to double book. So you want to I like to write down my booked orders, like people who are actually ordering calligraphy services from me, and make sure that I have those written down. So that was very important for me to have as far as a tracker or an at a glance sheet that I could actually look at. This could obviously be done electronically, but I like to do it both ways. It's just like a double check for me if I write it out and it's listed electronically somewhere. So, and I write pretty small too. So, I basically would probably just put 2 columns underneath these months and write out the dates. Just, something really simple. Like, if I'm doing a mirror, if I'm at the Odyssey, or if I'm at the Intercontinental, just somewhere, something that I can use as a reference. But yeah, so my booked orders tracker. And then I've got January 2022 at a glance. I know I've done a million calendars already, but before each weekly spread starts, I do like to have a January at a glance. That month at a glance, and a place to actually write notes and just be able to look over that month in something larger than those little thumbnail calendars, actually. So, and then there's always room. No matter if you make this landscape or if you make it portrait in terms of your calendar, there's always room to have your notes. So that's what I do. I like to have notes, just have something to the side because there's always something that I want to write. A key birthday, if there is a meeting, seminar, class, just something important for me. Not over. I did that line too long. I'm gonna have to fix that. I'll probably fix that with a little washi tape later. And then also too, it's really important to note that I will use straight edges, but I will also go freehand. There is so much to do, especially if you're going to tackle this for, and use it for your needs for a year. Everything can't be a ruler. I mean, it's just intimidating to me. I don't want to make it too formal. Sometimes I feel like doing a ruler. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm gonna punch this out by following the dots. And there is nothing wrong with that. This is your bullet journal. You do it the way you want to do it. But I definitely alternate between the two. That's it. So now all we have left after this is the weekly spread setup. Okay, the next spread, we're finally going to get to the weekly spread. And I'm going to do this, it's very minimal. I've done scripts for the titles on the other spreads, so I have chosen to just do a normal block font, no serifs, and just the date. And then I'm going to do a thumbnail of the calendar, yet another one, because I just like to be able to look and see, what Friday and Saturday are for the most part, because I do wedding stuff. So right next to the January 2022, I'm going to do a thumbnail of the January dates. And then after that, I am going to, on the next page, I use the entire page, the width of the entire page, to give me room to actually write my to-do. So again, I like to violate the type where the type is supposed to go. I like to split it with the with lines. So we've got our box. So my weekly to-do tasks I want to get done that week. And then I'm going to do vertical. I like vertical lines on my weekly spreads versus horizontal lines or boxes, which they're fine, but I just like the vertical because I'm a big list maker. So I found that this is better for me to do lines. And I added an extra column because it's weird the way this week starts. It basically starts, the first and second are on a Saturday and Sunday. So I just did 1 and 2, the first and the second, and just wrote weekend. So the third is Monday, the fourth is Tuesday, and so forth. Sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth. And then I'm just going to write priorities here, although I don't have to write priorities here. I might not do it on the next few weeks. I just thought it would be a nice spot for notes or priorities and just write some horizontal lines. But that could be a place for doodles, that could be a place for artwork, whatever. And then as a final, I just write 1 through 9 as a reminder of what this weekly spread is spanning. Horizontal rule. And then you just erase your lines. If you're somebody who likes to write in pencil before you ink, just make sure you erase your lines. And then you're done. Happy New Year, guys, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.